tell you what I see here. A lot of raw talent. Swagger. Bravado. People are scared of you guys. They think you're dangerous. But you have a unique voice. The world needs to hear it.
Alright, let's hit this shit. Alright.
Alright, you're listening to the boys from down under, Toyzilla Oz.
Okay, we're back for another episode of Toyzilla Talk. I'm Draz, my co-host, the man with the plan, Mr. Matty Drago.
Hey guys.
Okay, this is a special episode. We're in Melbourne at the moment, and we're with Sir Brett Perrins.
How you going, guys?
We are great. Finally get to meet Mr. Perrins. So, let's take it back right from the start. What is the origin story from birth? Take your time, mate. Remember, you just got to remember coming out of the womb and seeing the light.
Crawling out of my mother's womb, I emerged to find a new land. Quite early on, I think, probably the first movie I was probably exposed to was either E.T. or Star Wars. The first proper figure line was Masters of the Universe, like any kid born in early 80s.
Okay, let's pause on that. Masters Universe, fucking love it. What was your favourite character from the series, and did you see the cartoon first, or you were exposed to the figures first?
Cartoon first, because it would have had to. I was born in 81, so that's originally when Mattel launched the figure line, but I was exposed to cartoon first, and then nagging my parents down the shops for He-Man figures. Favourite character would have to be He-Man, and as a kid, Buzzsaw Hordak was my favourite figure.
Fucking Hordak. Hordak was a menace. He could rival fucking Skeletor to the fucking extreme. What about yours, Matty? Did you ever collect He-Man at all?
No, I didn't collect He-Man. I saw a lot of my friends did, obviously. I played with them. My best mate, Trent, he had a lot of the range. But as far as it goes for me, all I know is Skeletor and He-Man. That's it. You buzz off all these other names, I have no idea.
Let's pause for a second. You said you played with your friends. Please go on about that.
I think we'll leave that for another episode.
Oh, man. Okay, so He-Man was a good line. Did you ever go into G.I. Joe?
Never went into G.I. Joe. I had the odd one or two when some asshole from school bought me a present for coming to my McDonald's birthday party. Yeah, I wasn't really into G.I. Joe as such. Other lines around the time, probably Voltron.
Yeah, Voltron.
Rock Lords.
Rock Lords?
Yeah.
I haven't heard that in a long time.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that ever.
What decade was this guy born in, man?
No, tell me about it. I do not know. Back to Brett.
Matt was probably the kid that got the onion for Christmas.
No, I had weird shit. Like I had Who Framed Roger Rabbit toys.
Yeah, that's late 80s.
Inspector Gadget.
Yeah.
Ninja Turtles I had. And they were stolen 2 times over by this kid JJ in school. I'm going to kill him if I ever see him.
Fuck you, JJ.
Fuck you, JJ.
Okay, back to Brett.
JJ now owns JJ's clothing store, by the way.
Fucking successful motherfucker he is.
So I think the standout line for me growing up would have to be Masters of the Universe and Ninja Turtles. Obviously, it's over the years, or when I got back in, or found collecting again early, probably 2003, I stumbled across a new Ninja Turtles launch with the new cartoon that was around back then, and stumbled across eBay around the same time.
The old days of eBay, when they wouldn't ship to Australia and there wasn't any .au either, or PayPal. So that was always hard to try to get people to ship it out. They're always using Western Union.
Yeah.
And it was just paypal.com, and then it was like, okay, fingers crossed, will I ever get the package?
Yeah, I remember that. I always was hitting up sellers to, will you ship to Australia, using Western Union money orders from the post office. So heading down there a few days every week. When I found a new figure, playset, that was pretty much my only resource initially until I found forums such as He-Man.org and Technodrome for the Ninja Turtles. They were pretty much originally the core lines I collected. I then found Sideshow Collectibles. So I saw some great statues from them. Probably my first piece from them was Predator Bust, the original one.
Oh my god. Oh jeez, now you're speaking my language. Please tell us more, bro. Please tell us more.
Originally, I believe, what would it have been in AU? It was only around maybe $1,200 to $1,400. Yeah. A prize every man dreams of now.
That's true.
But it was an incredible piece. Unfortunately, I never got the chance to display it, and it stayed in box. Following that purchase was the Hellboy premium format and the Hell Baby bronzed 1-to-1 statue.
Oh, that's nice too, man.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
Those ones I did have out, and you could enjoy those on display.
Sorry, Brett, which Hellboy premium format was it? Was it the from the first film standing up, and he's got this sort of plasticky sort of jacket, or was it the or whatever it's made out of, or the second one with him mounted, the one that I just got?
It was the original movie one.
That's nice, man.
Yeah, yeah. And I think back then it was only around max 400 AU.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah.
Man. If you're going to see that on eBay, that's going to be upwards of $900 bucks.
Jeez Louise.
So once I got those pieces, I actually got a lot of other sort of Hellboy collectibles. Moved into the figures, the 18-inch line, both movie and later the comic book. I believe Mezco made a lot of those. Probably my favourite was the Horned exclusive of the movie version. After that, I sort of delved into a bit of everything. Got into Transformers a little bit, more the Masterpiece line.
So, okay, with Transformers, I've seen bits and pieces. Did you ever have that Megatron gun that you had to get a license for? It was like die-cast and it folded into a gun and...
Yeah, that's right.
Funny story about that one. My brother-in-law had a friend who was selling a few sort of vintage pieces. The boxes were beat up pretty bad, but the actual Megatron itself was in great condition. So this was an original from the 80s, just basically him selling it to me. So I picked up that back then for, I basically made him an offer, $100. So yeah.
That's epic.
Yeah. It was probably around 2005, and I was looking on eBay, and I stumbled across a Ninja Turtles movie 3, not the greatest of the 3 original films, but a animatronic Splinter.
Whoa. Animatronic.
The Splinter actually did look pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
He looked way better than the Turtles did in that film.
Yeah,
way better.
Definitely.
And I would love to own something like that.
Yeah, so I hit the guy up originally just to see, okay, you've got the Splinter, but have you got any Turtles? So he said, yes, I've got a full Donatello costume that was hanging at a Planet Hollywood.
Fucking hell.
So I purchased the Donatello and the Splinter. By the time they got here, probably about a month or 2 months, because they got shipped by boat, paid a shitload in customs fees to get them out, because the guy declared them at full value.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So how much did both of those cost to have? Back in those.
Back then, $7,000.
$7,000 to have something from the movie of.
Brett. Yeah.
That is fucking
That's-
amazing.
I know, it's from the movie.
From the movie to own something.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So, back then, because I was such, a die-hard fan, to own anything Turtles related, even, back then even, was quite hard. The only things sort of floating around back then even was sort of heads or masks, but the condition of them were pretty ordinary. So once I got these in hands, the Splinter was deteriorating a little bit because, they don't build costumes to last.
Mm-hmm.
They build them to last the movie, basically.
Yeah, definitely.
They don't make them to, with collectors in mind. And the Donatello was in good shape. The latex was peeling in parts. However, for its age, it was in great shape. If I look back now, I would have loved to have restored both, because I think even now, just to have those in my collection would have been amazing. But, life changes and things came up, and I had to part ways with those.
Let me pause that for a second. Did you ever try on the Donatello suit?
I didn't, because it was filled a suit that they took for action
Oh,
pictures
okay, I
or
get you, for
photos,
special
etc.
effects and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. You know, to say that I've owned a piece of, you know, Turtles memorabilia like that, and, you know, movie history.
Movie history,
Yeah,
indeed.
yeah.
It is. It is. I just wanted to speak a little bit about the whole Planet Hollywood thing and figures on display. Now, as we all know, Planet Hollywood bombed. I mean, it was a crappy venture that didn't succeed. The one in Sydney that we've got on George Street in the city, it's actually called Star Bar now. It's a club. It's a real seedy club. All right. Now, I went in there. I snuck in there on my Bucks night at some stage. It was like 3 a.m. It was real seedy, crusty. I'm dancing there drunk, and I look up to my left. And it used to be Planet Hollywood, right? They still had inside, and no one paid attention. There were like pretty cobwebs on them, for fuck's sake. There was a live, like a sort of animatronic Terminator T-800, Arnold Schwarzenegger, life-size thing encased in glass in the far corner. And they also had an alien from, what was that, Independence Day?
Oh, wow.
They had jackets from Planet of the Apes. And a few things like that, but all like covered with blankets over them. Like people didn't care about them. They were just like relics that no one gave a shit about in the club. It's
So
funny,
this was going on about 2 years ago when this happened.
yeah, not long ago at all, and they're still there. If you go there to Star Bar, they're still there. I don't know how much you'd have to make an offer for.
Bro,
like,
I
to get
reckon
that
we
stuff.
honestly hit them up
That
and see what we
Terminator is
can.
Insane.
Maybe we should go there and say, look, I'll give you $5,000 for that Terminator.
Maybe wishful thinking, man. Wishful thinking.
You never know, because that Star Bar is a piece of garbage.
It is a piece of garbage. I don't know. I just thought it was worth a mention. But also, Brett, I just wanted to ask you, with the Ninja Turtle line, now you've physically owned parts from the third film. Did you ever, and I know it almost seems impossible, did you try for the second and the first and the second film? And, you know, where do you think those pieces are, man? Because, yeah, I don't know.
Of course, the ultimate out of all would be the first Turtle movie, because pretty much when that released was the height of Turtle Mania. You know, as a kid, I remember, you know, every kid at school loved Turtles, even adults alike. You know, I could remember, you know, sharing it with my parents, you know, my mum looking out for figures, new ones that came out, and even go to family friends, dinners and that, and they all knew about Ninja Turtles. So it was really a time. And, you know, you can call it looking back on childhood and you see it through different eyes. But I don't think there's been a franchise to create so much hysteria as that did. But to answer the question, movie one, yeah, I've looked and looked and looked. I think any Turtles collector has. But for most part, I think they're destroyed now. Yeah. I wouldn't think there'd be too many pieces around.
So I was just going to say, what about that Michelle chick? Crazy collector on YouTube.
Oh, she's got 3 levels on her house.
And she's like,
everywhere.
yeah, she's like, Cowabunga, dude. And she eats like random bloody ice cream on pizza, and she tries to live the life of a Ninja Turtle. I actually hit her up on Facebook for a friend request, and she accepted. And I wrote her a message on a page. I said, thank you for your video. You brought the passion back to Turtles and that and whatever. And she's just like. I'm like,
and that's it.
Yeah, I'm like, well,
Thanks for the
okay,
comment.
I'm from Australia. You could say thank you, but
Good day, mate. But also, like, do you reckon someone say, like, Corey Feldman? Okay, man, he was Donatello's voice. Now, do you think that he owns anything from the film?
Corey Feldman
Or
probably.
do you reckon he smoked it away? Or
Yeah, well, you have to think too, you know, probably more another job for him. You know, with acting, it's just maybe another job, and there's not that sentimental value to fans.
It's just still a pretty big deal because he was a big actor at the time. Still, it was only like 4 years after the Goonies. He's still in the prime of his life. He's making good movies. Still the Burbs, this and that. I think he did the same year.
He had Friday the 13th as well.
Friday the 13th.
They actually thought about making him Jason, that he grew up to be Jason.
Gee.
Yeah, it was very interesting, and they never came to fruition, but still pretty crazy with Corey Feldman, the way his life.
It's really cool, man. That choreography book that I borrowed off you, that was extremely interesting, man. I just figured that in that he would have, because he had the power still at that stage, I would have thought that he agreed to do that movie because he was in a position of power, and he's like, hell yeah, I want to be a Ninja Turtle. You know, power, Turtle, power. But yeah.
He has come back to the Turtles franchise because he actually voices the character Slash in the new Nickelodeon cartoon.
Bullshit. That is so cool, man.
I did not know that.
He would do that
That's
for his kids. I reckon that he's doing that for his kids.
One guy that fucking loves Ninja Turtles is Vanilla Ice.
Really?
Hence Secret of the Ooze.
Yes.
That is
Yeah.
awesome. I didn't
Go
know that he loves
Ninja,
it
go
so-
Ninja,
Yeah.
go!
I didn't know whatever his name is, Van Varenberg or Whittle, whatever his name is. Didn't he? I didn't know he loved Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, man. He has a Turtles tattoo, I'm pretty sure, on his leg.
Oh, that's so
And
cool.
there is a YouTube clip of him, Ninja Turtles dancing to Gangnam Style.
Really?
So cool, man.
We got to check that out later. That's actually pretty cool.
Well, man, who doesn't remember his appearance in Secret of the Ooze on stage? That was way better than his performance in Cool as Ice.
Yeah, Cool as Ice.
Drop that zero and get with the hero. That was so cool.
So what happened after that? So you started collecting Ninja Turtles, and
When I was quite young, so if you're talking mid-80s, I had all sorts of toys, as most kids did. Mid-80s was sort of, He-Man, Voltron, Vector Gadgets, Rock Lords, like I mentioned earlier.
yeah, definitely.
Cartoon series like My Pet Monster.
Oh, bro, my pet monster, the leader of the gang. Fuck, I want that brand new in box with the cuffs. I only can find it without the cuffs, and it is so bloody hard to
I
find.
never know what you guys are talking about.
Bro, the purple monster with the teeth.
All right, see, I know more than movies. You remember the Fred Savage movies that he did? He did a couple of good ones. He did The Wizard.
The Wizard.
There you go, yeah.
Yeah, The Wizard was a crazy movie. Definitely have to get that on Blu-ray. Fred Savage.
It's not on Blu-ray, but
It's actually not on Blu-ray.
no, it's, I don't know, probably maybe overseas. We don't get anything here compared to the States. But Fred Savage, yes, The Wonder Years, a.k.a. Something Arnold.
Kevin Arnold.
Kevin Arnold.
Kevin
Fuck
Arnold.
yes, thank you.
And I think every guy back then wanted to bang Winnie Cooper.
Oh, Winnie Cooper, man. She's
Still hot.
Yeah.
She's still
I think she was on
fantastic.
Dancing with the Stars or something. And
Dude, she can dance as much as she freaking wants.
oh my god, definitely.
And another show I loved back then was Full House.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Full House,
Saget.
they're actually making a new show called Fuller House.
That's it.
And it's about, oh shit, what's her name?
Candace Cameron.
Really?
Yeah, she.
This was the older
Divorced.
boy, yeah?
Yeah, well, she's divorced now, and she has to look after her kids, and I think Joey and
Uncle Jesse.
Uncle Jesse
That's
and
lovely. That's fantastic. I'd like to watch that.
and them come back to look
Is
after
Bob
the kids.
Saget going to be in it, you reckon? He's worth the freaking mint too,
Yeah.
man. That guy knows how to make money.
Well, I read that Stamos actually started dissing the Olsen twins till they approached him and they sort of molded out, and they're just like, okay, look, yeah, one of us will appear in it.
Oh, because they're worth billions and they don't need to make appearances.
Yeah, well, they should fucking pay homage to the TV show that made them billions of dollars.
That's true. And wasn't what was his name again?
Mola Ram?
No, the other bloke. The bloke you just mentioned.
John Stamos.
John Stamos. Wasn't he with the Beach Boys?
Yes, he actually he was.
Jesse and there was a band he had on there. It was all Beach Boys covers and fucking Elvis and.
And he did that on there as well, because I know that he did fill in for one of the Beach Boys.
He was
actually
he was
in
a
the
drummer.
Beach
He
Boys.
was a really good drummer. Who was the other guy? There was Uncle Jesse.
Joey.
Okay.
And he did the voices like the Popeye.
Yeah.
You know, and he did all the funny.
He looked like the guy from Dumb and Dumber.
Oh yeah.
Jeff Daniels.
Jeff
Yeah,
Daniels.
Jeff Daniels.
He reminded me of him.
But funny fact. Alanis Morissette.
Yes.
Yeah. yeah.
What, she rooted Ryan Reynolds?
Did she?
Do you think
course
what's
she
that
did.
line? Do you think of her when you?
Fuck
Yeah,
her.
when you think of me when you
Yeah.
fuck?
It's like rain.
On a wedding,
On your wedding day.
day.
Yeah. So what about Alanis Morissette? What am I missing here?
The song was about Joey as her boyfriend in real life.
Yeah, because she was with him for many years, and then she.
How the fuck?
Jagged Little Pill was a huge breakout album that she wrote predominantly about him, and then she dated and she was engaged to Ryan Reynolds for many years.
I did not know.
So that was right, eh? Ryan
So he did a bit of a Deadpool insider.
Damn. And they're both Canadian, I guess. Yeah, she's Canadian, yeah?
Yeah, she.
Ryan Reynolds is
I
Canadian.
assume
bacon
she's
food.
Canadian.
As well as John Candy and Jim Carrey.
Classic
Can we talk
80s,
about
man.
Uncle Buck for
Yes,
a couple
Let's
Uncle
talk.
Buck,
Let's
yeah,
talk about
yeah,
Uncle
yeah.
Buck.
Now, can I give my little bit of trivia, and then you give yours, and you give yours, Draz and Brett? All right, my trivia is, and I told you this on the plane, that Bug, the guy that tried to have sex with John Candy's little niece, he's actually an ordained minister now, and you could call him at the church, and he'll pick up the phone. That's pretty cool, eh? He was also in The Boy Who Could Fly.
Have you got the number?
No, do you want to call him now? Let's call him now. Actually, I'll seriously call him. We can cut for a bit and call him, or maybe call him.
We'll do that. But what I loved in Uncle Buck was the fucking massive pancakes he cooked. I just saw it as a kid. I wish my parents would make me pancakes that big.
Oh, he killed it. There's too many scenes in that movie when he's listening at the door.
Yeah.
They slam the door in his face and his whole body flies back. He killed it. But you know what? Admittedly, tell me who doesn't, if you watch it, especially today, tell me who wouldn't shed a tear on the last frame when it's him saying goodbye at the car and he waves and then it just pauses on his face. And you kind of feel sad. I felt the same way with Planes, Trains and Automobiles. Because they kind of do the same thing. He waves.
Was that his last movie? No. His last movie was a Western.
Cool Runnings. He did a Western, that's right. He died on the set of a Western in 1994. Cool Runnings was, I think, 92. 92 or 3, around that sort of thing. And that was one of his last. But that was a good movie too.
It was. Yeah. Loved it.
Jamaican bobsled
Yeah.
team.
Jamaica's got the bobsled team, man.
Bro, he was such good value. He was so great, even in Home Alone.
Yeah.
His little part. Fuck.
Oh, Macaulay. Macaulay was great, man. Yeah, definitely.
Macaulay was good too.
Home Alone. Uncle Buck wasn't there. John Candy was in that.
He was in Home Alone.
No, he wasn't.
He was in the truck that brings the mother back.
Fuck out. He was
He's talking
too.
about how we sold 300 records. I'm with whatever
he was
Billy Bob.
too.
Yeah, he's in it, bro. But that's also because he was in Uncle Buck that was John Hughes also.
Yeah.
That's right, with Macaulay Culkin in Uncle Buck.
Yeah.
Macaulay was cute in that, man.
Yeah.
What do you do for a job? What do you all the questions.
Man, Macaulay Culkin had it great throughout his life.
My Girl? Did you watch that when you
Yeah.
were
It was fantastic.
My
That's
Girl.
my wife's favorite film. He can't see without his glasses.
Yeah.
Who didn't have a crush on her? And she had some weird name. She just disappeared. She had a weird name.
Fuck, I can't even think of a name.
Slavic or something.
Yeah.
She did make a comeback. She's on some The Good Wife, maybe. I think she's on one of these new TV shows that are out at the moment. Yeah, she did
Should
make.
be a good 35.
She actually looks really nice. I think she had a bit of a nose job as well.
She made My Girl 2 with the little kid off Last Action Hero.
Bullshit. Oh, no, she did too.
Yeah.
Well said. That was.
Owned.
Get this. Can I say? No, honestly, there was a collector. Talking figures, some review. I can't remember which one. He actually had that kid with him.
Yes, I saw that. You showed me
Did
that.
you see that
YouTube.
one?
Yeah.
He was talking.
What was his name? Danny or something from Last Action Hero?
Yeah, I know, but his name was Aaron or I don't know.
Mola Ram?
Molar Ram. Fuck you with the bowler ram. I'll molar ram it up your ass, boy.
Okay, let's get back to it. So,
That's crazy.
you were collecting, you were on the forums,
Yeah, man.
eBay. Where did it go from there? Who did you meet?
So basically, I met a few people, obviously, through eBay. I met one guy on eBay who hooked me up with a lot of the rare turtles, a few prototypes. Originally back then you could get, Scratch, which is probably one of the, if you want to call it Grail in the Turtles line, for a couple $100. Hotspot, yeah. Hotspot, yeah. I picked that back in carded for around 70 US back then.
Jesus.
So I got a lot. He hooked me up with a lot of the newer cartoon line as well that was launching back then. Same with the Master of the Universe. Probably around 2004, I saw some prototypes on eBay, some unreleased Ninja Turtles prototype. Got talking to the guy. Goes by the eBay ID Hollywood Heroes, which is actually Jordan Hembrow.
Jordan Hembrow. Let's pause for a second. The Toy Hunter really only came to national knowledge really when he made that toy show, which he buys figures and he's like, okay, I picked up this Kiss Me Go set. I'll give you $70 for it. And then he's like, I just flipped it for $8,000.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's one of those reality shows that you just cringe watching, but then you want to continue watching it because you're like, what's he going to do next?
He obviously knows his shit though, so.
He's like, this guy worked at the Kenner factory and he's got...
Was it that Boba Fett that
Yeah,
was...
the missile firing Boba Fett he had. No, that was a prototype because it was never released. So
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Was that considered dangerous? Is that what the problem was there?
I believe so. Yeah.
How much did that end up going for? Sale-wise.
I don't
I
know.
think 20 closer. Well, there was a constant guy he used to contact throughout the series. that he sold rare figures to. I think he sold it for around 15 grand US.
Wasn't there that guy that was involved with the UFC or something?
Yeah, that's
and
what it is.
Is
Yeah.
that the guy?
Heavily tattooed guy.
And he was a nut job, and his missus used to say to him, she used to think that he overspent or something.
Could be that. It could be most likely him. The dude, it was like you wouldn't if you saw him down the street, you wouldn't pick him spending 15 grand on a whatever 6-inch figure or whatever size they
Isn't
are.
that crazy, eh? I don't know.
It's a lot of money to spend on a prototype. Did you see the Bill and Ted figures that he had on one of his episodes? And he had like...
Really? They made Bill and Ted
Ted
figures?
made Bill and Ted figures, and you can still buy them now, but he had all these prototypes, and it was like, holy shit. I guess one good thing about his episodes is you see the figures, and then straight away, as you're watching, you're like, I'm going to jump on eBay and see if I can find these figures.
Yeah.
I want them.
Yeah.
Okay, so you met Jordan Hembrow. How did that go down? How was the whole process of meeting him? And
So basically, obviously, we conversed via email. However, I picked up a few unreleased prototypes from the Ninja Turtles line. One was Spellcaster Splinter. Anyone in the Ninja Turtles fandom would know about this figure. It was published in one of the Playmates toy catalogues, probably around, it would have been 94, 95, I believe. People always wondered why it was never released. It was the Warriors of the Forgotten Sewer was the actual line he was from. So that had Gatekeeper Rocksteady, Dwarf Dawn.
I think I do remember Gatekeeper Rocksteady.
Yeah,
that is quite available now.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. No, he goes for a few dollars now.
It really sounds like a good line already.
Yeah.
I'm liking the sounds of it, yeah.
Because the thing is, with Playmates and the Ninja Turtles line, they made everything Ninja Turtles, man. You had a Raphael dressed up as a fucking clown.
Yeah.
What is that all about?
Yeah, you had sports characters, Star Trek.
Yeah.
Like,
Star Trek, the Universal Monsters.
Yeah.
That is a wicked line.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? With, we were talking to Mick a couple of weeks back.
Yep.
And he was talking about the He-Man figures and how they recycled a lot of the body parts and used them on
Evil
other
Lyn
figures.
and Tila.
Did they do that a lot with the Turtles line?
Pretty much figures would just be the same mold.
Yeah.
Probably the actual bodies. Head sculpts had changed somewhat.
Even for between characters, fair enough, they're going to use the same mold for, say, a clown Ninja Turtle and a normal Ninja Turtle. But what about it like a villain? Would they use the same sort of legs as but just painted a different color?
I believe so. I didn't really spend too much time looking at that.
I don't know why. I'm just curious.
Well, hey man, Master Universe was a classic line of retooling figures. Yeah.
It was funny what this bloke said, Mick. It was interesting. He said the cartoon series was like a big advertisement for the action figures.
Yep.
Like, it was just like watching a big commercial for the
definitely.
figures.
Yep.
Isn't that cool, though? That's a pretty cool way of thinking about it.
What happened, because it was a action figure line first, Battle Cat is actually a retooled line from the line Big Jim. Now, I don't remember that line too well because it was sort of, I think, late 70s. Oh, I wasn't born then. But, yeah, it was just a repainted line from that.
I do remember Big Jim. Actually,
Yeah.
I was speaking to Mr. Nenny D about this. That actually, he was first toys that he collected. That's what got him into collecting. He remembers that as a kid.
Yeah.
So Big Jim was before He-Man.
Yeah.
There was also a line before He-Man that they sort of molded it from. I'm just trying to think.
Brave Star.
Was it Brave Star?
Yeah,
Was
well,
Brave-
it's got origins of Brave Star, and there is another one I can't recall.
Was it Barbarian or something?
Oh, don't look at me for answers.
I was actually, when I was growing up, my dad actually mentioned this after he heard the podcast with Mick. He said, "Do you remember those weird He-Man figures that I used to buy you, but they were like a knockoff brand? They were like Mexican or they were Spanish ones."
Your dad would know because he's always been in the loop for figures and stuff like that. He would know what came out before He-Man.
Yeah, we couldn't put the name on the actual
So
figure.
they were Mexican. How do you mean they were darker figures?
Yeah, they were
With
darker.
sombreros and shit.
No, they didn't have some sombreros, but they were like more tanned, and they were
There were Mexican figures released, and I believe back when I was collecting the line in sort of mid 2000s, there was I think it was either a Mexican or Spanish release, camouflage Cobra Khan.
Yeah.
and he was highly desired back then, probably is now. I haven't kept up in terms of on the action figures and what's desirable now. But even back then, he was obviously a repainted Cobra Khan in sort of camouflage covers. And there are definitely, Mexican released Master Universe figures. And I believe, even the titles, I wouldn't even be prepared to say what the title is. It's Masters El Di
Negro.
Picture say.
Yeah.
Okay, so you spoke to Jordan Hembrow through email.
Yep.
What was he? Was he a nice guy? Like, was he very easy?
Very, very, very nice guy. I brought a couple of figures off him direct. So I got the Spellcaster Splinter. That was an unpainted prototype. I got some sort of what they called sort of test shots or hard copies. I got a painted Toon Carla.
Oh wow!
Which is one of the neutrinos from the cartoon series.
I remember the neutrinos, the guy with the little skate.
Zach the neutrino, and Dusk the neutrino. Yep. I got a character called Radio Boy, which was another unreleased. He was an actual clay sculpture.
Wow, so like when we say unreleased, these are just plastic prototypes, clay prototypes that are like one-offs.
Correct. So they're basically what, they will, Playmates would have made, and then whether it would go into production or not. Those two never, Spellcaster and the Radio Boy never saw the light of day. However, Radio Boy you can still see on eBay to the guy I had sold it to.
Really?
So as I was saying, he was an unpainted prototype. Back then, he cost around $600 US. So considering now for the average, for an average figure or rarity, you're paying a lot more. Back then, though, in collecting, that was quite a bit of money to throw around, sort of that era, if you want to call it. No, but I was. So what happened then is I got put onto contacts or sculptors and artists who were wanting to sell prototypes or pieces they'd worked on through Jordan. Yeah, I got a Tyranno shredder. So all up, I probably in the end had about sort of 10 sort of vintage prototypes from the Turtles line through him.
Jesus Christ, 10 vintage prototypes.
Crazy.
So it's fair to say, over your whole collecting with the Ninja Turtles, you were the biggest in Australia when it came to everything.
Not that I know of, because I didn't at the time know a lot of Turtles collectors locally. Back then Facebook wasn't around. I don't think even MySpace existed. Maybe it did, but I wasn't a part of it. So it was more sort of forums that were more sort of, international based. A couple of local collectors, but for most part, everything I bought was from overseas.
That's crazy. So you had the prototypes, you were collecting the Ninja Turtle line. Where did it go from there after that? Did you buy anything else from Jordan, or did you just go down another path and start buying He-Man again or anything like that?
Yeah, so I was collecting both lines at the same time. Yeah, I was collecting Turtles and sort of He-Man line. I was collecting vintage and also the 2000 series cartoon figures. So part of that obviously was the figure line, Toy Fair exclusive, San Diego Comic-Con exclusives, NECA made statues, mini statues, busts, which I collected also. And then, like I was saying earlier, sort of expanded into a few other lines or lines I liked the look of.
Fuck, man, you had a lot of stuff. What do you reckon, Matty?
Fascinating, man. I mean, a lot of exclusives, a lot of rare figures in a nutshell.
Prototypes. I think that's something we could always dream of, especially in 1/6. Imagine getting a prototype.
The only prototype that I've got my eyes on, but I haven't really pulled the trigger, and it's cheap. Anyways, the Boba Fett. The Sideshow 1/6 scale white Boba Fett.
Is that the one with the sort of like, it looks like pajamas? No.
No. He's got the same outfit, but it's white. It's got a slightly different base with a different symbol on it, but it was a prototype. So, but that's all I know of prototype.
Fuck, man, I hope you find that.
No, it's easy to get.
So it is easy to get.
It's easy to get, man. You can get it for $200.
Bro, get it, man.
Like
for you to bring that up, it seems like you're quite excited about it.
I think it's a little bit crazy. I mean, with especially with a line like Star Wars that I really like, I think I've got to make a conscious decision, and I think I already have, not to get prototypes and stuff like that. Just really that.
Stick to the core line.
The core line.
Leia,
classic
Luke,
character.
Chewie, Han, Vader,
That sort of thing.
Yoda, and the 2 stormtroopers.
That's it. Or maybe 5 or 6.
5 or 6, that'd be great if only it was cheaper.
I know.
You've collected so many figures. You've got your whole parents' house full
Yeah.
of stuff. Where were you heading towards that direction? Was it just collecting for a reason? Was the addiction so great, or were you looking at like an end plan, like a?
Yeah, I think, you reach a point where, with collecting, it's like, what next? You sort of weigh up, are you spending all your money on something to collect for yourself and your own passions, or are you collecting to be the person that has the most figures? Because I think you come to the realization there'll be always someone that has more than you.
Yeah,
there'll be
definitely.
always someone that has something rarer than you. But as long as you're content and collect for yourself, and I think, as you get older and where I'm at now, you realise that more than ever, because you actually have other things in life. Now I've got a family, and that comes before anything. Back then I was by myself, didn't have any ties or concerns or debt. So all my money, went on collecting, which was great at the time, but, I had to grow up at some point. I made the decision, obviously, and a life-changing one, to look at buying a house. How would I come up with money? Was obviously to sell a lot of the collection off. So yeah, I went through probably quite a few month process, because I had a lot to sell, and most of my days were spent at the post office, just taking 20, 30 boxes down each day. And it was hard to keep track of it all, because most of it I did sell on eBay back then. Yeah, I did keep obviously certain pieces, like the Playmates Ninja Turtle statues. I hold on to them for years. The Turtles NECA figures later in the late 2000s. But yeah, other things take preference in life, and yeah, I opted with that. Pretty much selling up everything I had, and as obviously time went on, got married, had kids, I picked up a lot of obviously figures and toys for my 2 boys. Obviously, because they share in interests that I do, of course.
Yeah,
They
definitely.
love superheroes, love Ninja Turtles, and given that the Ninja Turtles will come back again, and obviously they love to watch. But they love watching the old one I grew up with, and they know that, Daddy grew up with watching that Ninja Turtles. So it's great to share passion or something I grew up with your own kids. And that's why I think I have such a passion for it, because, you never picture growing up that one day you're going to have kids and share something that you were interested in with them.
Massive thanks to finally meet Sir Brett Perrins. Thank you so much for jumping on board the
On board the Toyzilla
Train.
ship of dreams, or whatever the fuck you wanna
Ship
call
of
it.
dreams.
But Brett, we've been looking forward to it for a long time, and it's finally happened. Hope it's one of many with you.
Sounds great, guys, and thank you both.
No worries. Okay, that's the end, guys. Stay tuned. We're going to have photos on our website. We're going to have more stuff, and we're going to bring back Brett. Bring back Brett
Bring
campaign.
back Brett.
Hashtag bring back Brett.
Bring back Brett. That's
Bring
hard
back
to
Brett.
say. Bring back Brett.
Bring back Brett. We're going to bring him back, and we're going to get him on the couch and do a panel and everything like that. So thanks, guys, and see you on the flip side.
Yeah.